Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sharma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sharma Banda Mui Savadana Mate Banda Mui Savadana Mate Yahara Prasadeva Bhavatoriyo Jai Yahara Prasadeva Bhavatoriyo Jai Krishna Prapti Ho Jai Ho Te Krishna Prapti Ho Jai Te Guru Mukha Padma charane rati ese utama gati. Shri Guru charane rati ese utama gati. Je prasade pure sharva sha. Je prasade pure sharva sha. Jakudan dilo je janme janme Prabhu se. Jakudan dilo je janme janme Prabhu se. Divya gyan de prakashito. Divya gyan de prakashito. Prema bhakti ahate avijja vinasha jate. Prema bhakti ahate avijja vinasha jate. Dadegaya hara charito. Dadegaya hara charito. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Alama Janara Bandhu. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Alama Janara Bandhu. Lokana lokera jivana. Lokana lokera jivana. Aha Prabhu karo daya. Deho more pada chaya. Aha Prabhu karo daya. Deho more pada chaya. Ebe jas kusutri bhuvana. Ebe jas kusutri bhuvana. Srila Prabhupada patita pavana. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
ISKCON Viviti Founder Church Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrata Jagat Church Stotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौड़ भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। श्रीमती तुलसी देवी महारानी की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। बृहत मृदंग की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। कार्तिक व्रत की जय। गोपाष्टमी की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदी समवेत भक्त वृंद की। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hiranandarupa Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamana Yashoda Viyalukalandavamana Paramristamatiantato Drutya Gopya Rudantamunetra yugmamrijanta Karamboja yugnena satankanetra Mushwasakam patrire kankakanta Sthita graivam damodaram bhaktivadam Iti driksvalila birananda kunde Swagoshami majanta makyapayanta Tadiyashita keshu bhaktarchitarvam Puna prematastam shatavritti vande Varam deva moksham na mokshavadim va Nachanyam vrineham vare shadapiha. Idam deva purnata gopala bala sada me manasya virastam kimanya. Idam te mukam bojam atyantanila vritam kuntalai snigdaraktaischa gopya. Muhuschumbitam bimbarakadaram me manasya virastamalam lakshalabhay. Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabho Dukkha Jalabdi Magnam. Kripa drishti vrishyati dinam batanu grihane shamamagyame dyakshi drishya. Kuveradmajo badha murtyai vayalva tvayo mochito bhakti vajo krito cha. Tata prema bhaktim swakam me prayacha namokshe graho me stida mondariha. Namaste Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe. Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Goranita Jaya Goranita Jaya Goranita Jaya Goranita. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Radha Damodar ki.
Blissful knowledge, whose glistening earrings swing to and fro, who manifested himself in Gokula, who stole the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafters of their storerooms, and who then quickly jumped up and ran in retreat in fear of Mother Yashoda, but was ultimately caught. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. Upon seeing his mother's whipping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick, and as Mother Yashoda bound his belly with ropes, he shivered in fright and his pearl necklace shook. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, who is bound with his devotees' love, I offer my humble obeisances. Those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drown the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy. To the devotees who are attracted only to his majestic aspect of Narayana Vaikuntha, the Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. To the Supreme Lord Damodar, my obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart. O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened like bimba fruit due to Mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind. O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, Be pleased upon me. I am drowning in an ocean of sorrow, and am almost like a dead man. Please shower your rain of mercy on me. Uplift me and protect me with your nectarian vision. O Lord Damodar, in your form as a baby, Mother Yashoda ground to a grinding stone with a rope for tying cows. You then freed the sons of Kuvera, Manigriva, and Nalukavara, who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them the chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in the same way. I have no desire for liberation into your effulgence. Entire universe was created by Lord Brahma, who was born from your abdomen, which was bound with a rope by Mother Yashoda. To this rope I offer my humble obeisances. I offer my obeisances to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and to your unlimited pastime. Shri Shri Radha Damodar Ki Jai.
Shri Shri Radhe Shyam Ki. So there are lots of announcements today, so I'll forego the reading. Today, downtown Alachua, we'll have a Halloween festival, and devotees will be there setting up and also distributing cookies and other prasadam. So if you have made cookies, please bring it to Mother Gandharvika at the temple. Downtown Gainesville Festival is next weekend, the 8th and 9th. Thousands of people attend this festival of art and music. Please sign up if you would like to volunteer to be there for a slot. Mother Sri Vrindavan will do that. Today's ghee lamps were sponsored by Varuna Prabhu in honor of his niece Shama Darshani's 22nd birthday. I thought she was 18 or something. Somehow or other, I thought she was so young. Anyway, she's 22nd years old today, and please let us pray to the deities to give them, Varuna Prabhu and family, and also Shama Darshani, shelter at their lotus feet, and also award them pure devotional service. We'd like to welcome also Priyavrata Prabhu, who is the director of Food for Life Global. He travels all over the world doing Food for Life. He spoke last night and he'll be speaking again this morning. Harinam today will be at Alachua because there will be so many people out in the streets in Alachua. We don't normally get a chance to be in Alachua, so we'll do Harinam in Alachua today. We'll meet at the Krishna.com property there at 5:30, and then we'll do 2 hours and then come back. So if you know anyone who wants to come, please tell them to change. We're not going to be in Gainesville today. Today is also the disappearance day of Sri Gadadhar Das Goswami, disappearance day of Sri Dhananjaya Pandit, and also the disappearance day of Srinivas Acharya. Tomorrow is the last day of the daylight saving time, so on Sunday we'll change the clocks. Sunday is also Ekadashi day, and also the disappearance day of Srila Gaurakishore Das Babaji Maharaj, so we'll do Pushpanjali in the morning on Sunday. Vishnu Panchak also begins on Sunday. The last 5 days of Kartik begins on Sunday. And I think that's all. So Priyavrata Prabhu will give class this morning. Leelananda Prabhu will just read the verses, and then Priyavrata Prabhu will speak.
Jashodanandana Braja Jananandana Jamuna Vanachari. I'm making very brief because Priyavrata Prabhu has a wonderful presentation and I don't want to take much time. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. To Canto 10, Chapter 53, I'm going to read the summary and also text 1, 2, and 3. Now is when Krishna kidnaps Rukmini. Before that was just the prelude. Now where the action begins. This chapter describes how Lord Sri Krishna arrived in Kundina, the capital of Vidarbha, and kidnapped Rukmini in the presence of powerful enemies. After Lord Krishna had heard the Brahmana messenger recite Rukmini's letter, the Lord said to him, I am indeed attracted to Rukmini, and I know of her brother Rukmini's opposition to my marrying her. Therefore, I must kidnap her after crushing all the low-class kings, just as one might generate fire from wood by friction. Since the solemnizing of vows between Rukmini and Shishupala was scheduled to occur in only 3 days, Lord Krishna had Daruka ready his chariot at once. Then he immediately set out for Vidarbha, which he reached after one night's travel. King Bhishmaka, trapped by his affection for his son Rukmi, was prepared to give his daughter to Shishupala. Bhishmaka saw to all the necessary preparations. He had the city decorated in various ways and had its main roads and intersections thoroughly cleansed. Damagosha, the king of Chedi, having also done everything necessary to prepare for his son's marriage, arrived in Vidarbha. King Bhishmaka greeted him properly and gave him a place to stay. Many other kings, such as Jarasandha, Salva, and Dantavraka, no, these are the company of Shishupala, came to witness the occasion. These enemies of Krishna had conspired to kidnap the bride if Krishna came. So they had a plan too. They planned to fight him together and thus guarantee Shishupala his bride. Hearing of these plans, Lord Baladeva gathered his entire army and quickly went to Kundinapura. On the night before the wedding, Rukmini, about to retire, had still not seen either the Brahmana or Krishna arrive. In anxiety, she cursed her bad fortune, but just then she felt her left eye twitch, a good omen. See if any woman feels her left eye twitch. It's a good omen. Indeed, the Brahmana shortly appeared and related to her what Krishna had said, including his firm promise to kidnap her. When King Bhishmaka heard that Krishna and Balaram had arrived, he went out to greet them to the accompaniment of triumphant music. He worshipped the lords with various gifts and then designated residence for them. Thus the king showed due respect to the lords, as he did to each of his numerous royal guests. The people of Vidarbha, seeing Lord Krishna, remarked to one another that he alone would be a suitable husband for Rukmini. Now, everybody wanted him to marry Rukmini except for Shishupala and Rukmi. They prayed that on the strength of whatever pious credit they had, Krishna might win Rukmini's hand. When the time came for Srimati Rukmini Devi to visit the temple of Sri Ambika, she proceeded there, surrounded by many guards. After bowing down to the deity, Rukmini prayed to be allowed to have Sri Krishna as her husband. Then she took the hand of a girlfriend and left the Ambika temple. Seeing her inexpressible beauty, the great heroes present dropped their weapons and fell to the ground unconscious. Wow. I've never heard of this before. Rukmini walked with deliberate steps until she noticed Krishna. Then, as everyone looked on, Sri Krishna took Rukmini on his chariot, and like a lion, claiming his rightful share from a band of jackals, he drove back all the opposing kings and slowly made his exit, followed by his associates. Jarasandha and the other kings, unable to bear their defeat and dishonor, loudly condemned themselves. No, they fell all unconscious on the floor, declaring that this defamation was like a petty animal stealing away what rightfully belongs to the lion. Wow, this is a lot of adventure here in this chapter. It's amazing. So Shishuka Uvacha Vardabhyasa tu Sandesham Nishamya Jadunandana Pragrihya Paninapanim Prahasam Idamabravit. Shukadeva Goswami said, thus hearing the confidential message of Princess Vaidarbhi, Lord Jadunandana took the Brahmana's hand and smiling spoke to him as follows. Sri Bhagavam Uvacha Tataham Apitachito Nidram Cha Nalabhe Nishi Vedaham Rukmina Dvesham Mamodvaho Nivaritaha. The Supreme Lord said, just as Rukmini's mind is fixed on me, my mind is fixed on her. I can't even sleep at night. I know that Rukmi, out of envy, has forbidden our marriage. Tam manaishya ummatya rajanyas pasadam ridhe matparam anavadvingim idha shogni shikamiva. She has dedicated herself exclusively to me, and her beauty is flawless. I will bring her here after trashing those worthless kings in battle, just as one brings a blazing flame out of firewood. Purport: when latent fire is aroused in wood, the fire bursts forth, consuming the wood in the act of manifestation. Similarly, Lord Krishna boldly predicted that Rukmini would come forth to take his hand, and that in the process, the wicked kings would be burned by the fire of Krishna's determination. And that's the end of it. And now we are going to see a wonderful presentation by Priyavrata Prabhu. Hare Bol. So we are going to display the presentation there, and Priyavrata Prabhu is going to sit somewhere in the middle here so he can see it. Thank you. Okay. I've got it. I've got it. I've got it. Okay, thank you very much. Are you going to put that on? Okay. Good, huh? Are you cool?
short. So, but thank you very much, everyone. It's been a long time since I've been to Alachua. The last time was in 1996 when I was a brahmachari. There was I think a communications meeting or something. Since then, I've done a lot of traveling around the world, as Prabhu was saying. I visit many countries. I've visited like 65 countries so far, documenting Food for Life's work around the world, giving talks on prasadam distribution and so on. So this is the philosophy of Food for Life. So what I've done is taken some of the best quotes from Prabhupada about what he said about prasadam and giving some context to it, sort of weaving them together to present a little story, and hopefully it will be inspiring for you. So what Food for Life is not, this is what it is not, all right? It is not a feeding program for the poor. Food for Life is not a public relations program for ISKCON. Food for Life is not mundane charity, and Food for Life is not a program for those that can't sell books. Yeah. So I remember when I visited Russia back in the 90s, when I started promoting Food for Life through the former Soviet Union, and it was often the case that those that couldn't sell books were relegated to the Food for Life program. You know, you're not good enough. Okay, you just do Food for Life, and it was really sad to see that because they were positioning Food for Life as a lesser program, and we all know that all devotional service is equal, right? Whether you're washing pots, whether you're worshipping the deity, it's all good, right? As long as the devotion is there, it's all good. So Food for Life, of course, is prasadam distribution, so it's certainly a very glorious activity. So this is what it's not, right? It's not feeding the poor. This is what it is. It is a revival of an ancient hospitality culture. It is a free prasadam program for everyone. Free prasadam for everyone. It is an essential anga of the mission of ISKCON, and it is a program for fulfilling Prabhupada's desire, and I'll explain those points as we go along. So this is a classic comment that Prabhupada made in the Bhagavatam, 4.12.10, and it sums up the Krishna consciousness movement. I mean, everything is contained in this one little paragraph. The Krishna consciousness movement is based on this principle. Chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra at every moment, as much as possible, both inside and outside the temple, and as far as possible distribute prasadam. This process can be accelerated with the cooperation of state administrators and those who are producing the country's wealth. Simply by the liberal distribution of prasad and sankirtan, the whole world can become peaceful and prosperous. It's a very powerful statement. There's three essential points here. The first one is, what is the basis of the Krishna consciousness movement? Chanting Hare Krishna as much as possible and distributing prasadam as far as possible. Now you may say, well, what happened to book distribution? Book distribution is part of the chanting program. Book distribution is another form of chanting. Right? It's contained within that. So essentially the program is chanting and prasadam distribution. The second sentence in this comment, Prabhupada gives us a strategy, a little secret here. He says if you want this to expand quickly, if you want to accelerate it, you've got to get the help of the government and the wealthy people. Right? Very important. And then in the last sentence, he gives the benediction. Simply by doing this liberally, the whole world can become peaceful and prosperous. This is it. This sums up the whole Krishna conscious movement right here. It's buried within the Bhagavatam. It's all you need to know, right there. Those three sentences. So we're going to expand on some of these here. So this is another comment Prabhupada made in the Chaitanya Charitamrita 132. Everyone should be given a chance to take prasadam. Everyone. To take prasadam and thus be induced to chant the holy names of Hare Krishna and also dance in ecstasy. By these three processes, eating prasadam, chanting, and dancing, Although performed without knowledge or education, even a dog went back to Godhead. And of course, this is a comment on the story of Shivananda Shain and the dog. Shivananda Shain was a great grihasta, very compassionate devotee. He welcomed a stray dog into the Sankirtan party for the pilgrimage. And not only did he welcome the dog, he arranged for 2 cooks to prepare special prasadam for the dog, boiled rice without salt, without spices, just plain boiled rice. He arranged 2 cooks specially just for the dog. This is because he understood that the dog was also a devotee, essentially. We're all spiritual beings. The mission of the Krishna consciousness movement is to distribute prasadam to millions of hungry people hankering for spiritual emancipation. This is the mission of the Hare Krishna, the Krishna consciousness movement. And of course, when we talk about prasadam, we don't just mean books. We don't just mean prasadam, the food, and we don't just mean chanting Hare Krishna. We mean all forms of mercy, all forms of all types of activities where we're engaging people in Krishna's service. To bring about, now this is the mission of Food for Life, to bring about peace and prosperity in the world through the liberal distribution of pure plant-based meals prepared with loving intention. And you see I've prepared this statement in a way which is very easy to understand. It's non-sectarian. I didn't just say it's, to distribute prasadam, to encourage people to develop love of God or to love of Krishna. This is a mission statement that's on the Food for Life Global website. So, and you can see I've taken this directly from Prabhupada's comment from the Bhagavatam 4.12.10. It's just a rewrite of that. To bring about peace and prosperity in the world. Now what does that mean? Why didn't Prabhupada say in that previous comment, in the last sentence, he says, by the liberal distribution of prasadam and sankirtan, the whole world can become peaceful and prosperous. Why didn't he say the whole world can become Krishna conscious? Right? Why did he use the word peaceful and prosperous?
It sounds more universal.
Universal, yeah. And also, because essentially when we understand the spiritual equality of all beings, when we actually start to treat each other as spiritual equals, the dogs, the ants, the plants, the black man, the white man, the yellow man, when we start to see each other as family, all problems go away. Poverty disappears. World hunger disappears. Discrimination disappears, you see. And when that happens, there is prosperity, there is peace. So what we're talking about is the result of Krishna consciousness. So it's a really beautiful use of words he chose. The 3 principles. This is interesting. This is a lecture Prabhupada gave in 1974 in London, right, at Rath Yatra. It's hard to read. The Hare Krishna movement is standing on 3 principal things: chanting, dancing, and eating prasadam. It is not very difficult. It is very enjoyable to chant, dance, and take prasadam. And if you like, you can hear a little philosophy. If you like. It's not optional. Right? Of this movement. Or even if you do not understand the philosophy, even you do not read the books, simply if you take part in these 3 things, chanting, dancing, and taking part in eating prasadam, your life will gradually progress in spiritual advancement of life. Isn't that amazing? You've never seen that before, right? Have you ever read that before? It's a lecture from a Rath Yatra lecture in London. These are the 3 principles of the movement: chanting, dancing, and prasadam. And again, I'm not minimizing book distribution. Book distribution is part of the chanting. If we understand it that way, it makes perfect sense. Extended universally. This is a very powerful comment from the Madhya Lila 493, and this is a comment on the Anakrita ceremony of Madhavendra Puri, when he revived the distribution of prasadam en masse to the people in worship of Govardhan. The Krishna conscious movement vigorously approves this practice of preparing food, offering it to the deity, and distributing it to the general population. This activity should be extended universally to stop sinful eating habits as well as other behavior befitting only demons. Very powerful. It has to be extended universally. It's not just from the temple. Universally means universally. It means everywhere, every place, anytime, as much as possible. And of course, we go back to that original comment Prabhupada made, that prasadam should be distributed as far as possible, right? As far as we can. That's what Prabhupada wanted. Now, another interesting point here is that he says, by distributing prasadam, we want to stop the sinful eating habits of the people. Now, what does the Bhagavad Gita state, right? You can only give up the lower taste by experiencing a higher taste, right? We know that. We all have had that experience. So similarly, if we want people to stop eating meat, we have to give them the experience of prasadam. They have to get a chance to take prasadam. It's all tied in. Prabhupada's very consistent. He just says things in different ways, but it's all very consistent. If we want people to stop eating meat, we have to give them the chance, the experience to take prasadam. Absolutely essential. What else did Prabhupada say about this? He says a meat eater cannot understand God. So we can distribute books until we're blue in the face. We can distribute books until we're crawling on the ground exhausted. But until people change their eating habits, they will not understand the books fully. That's the fact. Prabhupada clearly says meat eaters cannot understand God. We have to change their diet. That's an essential part of the mission. We can't just distribute books and lecture and lecture and lecture and expect somehow or other that there'll be a transformation. We have to change their eating habits. And the way to do that is to give them a chance to experience the higher taste. That's why it's so important to distribute prasadam liberally as far as possible. It is a part of deity worship, prasadam distribution. Prasadam distribution is part of deity worship. This gratitude of love for God is exhibited by a pure devotee who knows that the Lord lives in every living entity. As such, temple worship necessarily includes distribution of prasadam. Distribution of prasad to the ignorant masses of people is essential for persons who make offerings to the personality of Godhead. How much clearer can you be? Right? That's from the Bhagavatam. So when you see all of these comments put together, it's very powerful, right? It's very different because they're sort of spread around the Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But when you look at them all together, it's really interesting. Prabhupada wrote to Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he says, what is the use of a temple if there is no prasadam distribution? Essentially what he's saying is the temple is not really a temple if there is no prasadam distribution. That's such an important part of temple culture. And of course, you've probably heard of the story that Hare tells. When Hare brought his parents to the temple, right? And he reported back to Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, so what happened? And he says, they got to see the deities, and we gave them books, and they really had a good time, Prabhupada. We lectured to them, we explained everything, and it was very, very nice. And Prabhupada says, did you give them prasadam? And he says, no, useless, you failed. Everything was based on that. As soon as he said he hadn't given prasadam, he says, you basically wasted your time. They have to get prasadam. It's because it's part of temple culture. It's an essential part of the temple culture that anyone that comes, they get prasadam. And that's why there's that famous, I don't have it in this presentation, but I'm sure you've seen that letter to the temple presidents in 1975, I think it was, where Prabhupada says that every temple should have 20 preparations and puris and halava and things, and anyone comes, they must get a full plate of prasadam. Have you read that before? You never seen that? Yeah, he said that. Yeah, basically the short story is that he says that anyone that comes to the temple, there should be always prasadam. As soon as they come, they get a full plate of prasadam. That's what Prabhupada wanted. It was so important to him. And look at Prabhupada's example in the beginning days, right? The beginning days, he was cooking prasadam himself, cooking the feast, cleaning the pots. That was so important for him that everyone got nice prasadam. So it's part of the culture that we represent. FFL is never mundane. Just like feeding the poor, Prabhupada said, it's also jagya. But the same thing, if it is dovetailed in consciousness, that becomes perfect. People are very much inclined to feed the poor with sumptuous food, but it can be done in a little different way. That the foodstuff offered to Vishnu, prasad, that distribution of foodstuffs is better than ordinary distribution of foodstuffs. Ordinarily, that would be punya, pious activity, but when it is in connection with Krishna, this is called jagya. So it's not mundane activity. Yes, without offering the food, of course it's mundane. But if you're distributing prasadam, rich man, poor man, whatever, to anyone, in whatever situation, it is jagya, because it's prasadam, simply because it's prasadam. Everyone is poor. Everyone is poor, not that the rich man is not poor. Everyone should come to the temple and ask for prasadam. That is required. So, Paratma Nishtam, the sannyasi should worship the deity in the temple and feed the poor. Poor does not mean that one who has no legs, no ears. No poor. Everyone who is spiritually poor, he should be giving prasadam. So this is a nice little comment for the sannyasis to, be involved in prasadam distribution. It's good for their spiritual life. It's good for all of our spiritual life, but very, very important for the sannyasis. Spiritual life begins with the tongue. So first of all, taste God. It is within your reach of the sensual perception. But try to practice. Then, seven mukhi jivado, spayameva sparachada. Then you will realize God will reveal to himself to you when you become submitted, devoted to God. By taking prasadam, you will see God personally. He will talk with you. That is possible. Prabhupada lecture on the Srimad Bhagavatam in Los Angeles. Prabhupada said, Krishna will talk to you through eating prasadam. How to win over the world. This is a letter to Satyajit in 74. I am hopeful that if we can widely distribute free foodstuffs to the people of India, by giving it out at our centres as well as by travelling parties to villages, we will win over the whole country and the whole world by this activity on Krishna's behalf. So Prabhupada knew the potential of prasadam distribution, that it had a very powerful impact on people's feelings and their perception of the Hare Krishna movement. And of course, this is one of the reasons why ISKCON Communications in the early days used Food for Life as a public relations medium. And it was like, put Food for Life out front, make everyone like Hare Krishna. And of course that's okay, but that's not the purpose of Food for Life. The purpose of Food for Life is simply to distribute prasadam, to share the mercy, to encourage people to become God conscious. So this is nice because Prabhupada's recognizing the power of prasadam, how it can influence people. Now, this is the letter that got me started, actually. You may think, Priyavrata, he must be some, Mother Teresa. He's like so... He's been doing Food for Life for so long. But actually, my motivation to get involved in Food for Life was that I wanted to influence the leaders. I was always looking at the influential people and I thought, how can I reach them? I'm just a nobody, I'm a monk. How can I reach them? And I realized, maybe with Food for Life, I have a ticket, a key to their door. I can get in, I can become relevant in their eyes and get to make friends with them. And I realized this became true. And I did lots and lots of distribution to wealthy people, to influential people, and I got endorsements from politicians and mayors and presidents and so many things. Basically, I became relevant in their eyes once I presented myself as a humanitarian. Of course, I'm a prasadam distributor, but in their eyes, I'm a humanitarian. I'm a person doing good work in their community. So this is the letter that got me inspired. Prabhupada says, if such leaders of society can be influenced to preach on our behalf. Help us to spread Krishna consciousness in some practical way. That is the best service. So if the leaders of present-day society can be persuaded of our beneficial working for the human welfare, and if they help us somehow to spread what they have learned from us to the people in general, that is the point to be considered. Because as we know, the people follow the leaders. Most people are just sheep, right? 90% of the population, they just follow along. And as a result, they just get manipulated and they're very distracted and they feel very powerless. But the leaders have so much influence. And so Prabhupada always felt that we need to reach the leaders. And he realized that one of the ways to reach them was by getting them to know about our welfare activities, whether that's book distribution, educating people about spiritual values, or prasadam distribution. He wanted them to know about us and to talk about what we're doing. And so I realized that this is a great way to connect with these leaders, get them to write endorsement letters, get them to speak on our behalf, and in this way influence the general public. Convince the leaders. If we want actually to be successful, we must convince the influential men of your country. Then everything will follow automatically. That's a letter to Shama Shunda. We have to influence the leaders. Now, recently in Melbourne, you may have read about it on ISKCON News, the devotees had a big politician, I think he was like the health minister or something like that, and he came to the temple for a celebration with a $500,000 check to renovate the temple kitchen. How's that? And that's all based on the good work that the devotees, the prasadam distribution the devotees are doing. They've had a Food for Life program going on in Melbourne for 25 years I think, non-stop every day. And they've developed, and just generally around Australia, we have such a good rapport with the public. It's amazing. You tell people you're a Hare Krishna, it's like thumbs up, no problem. You guys are great. I love your food. It's either I love your food or you're doing good work. Every single time, yeah. Beg your pardon? What's that? No, he was invited. But I'm not sure if they knew about the check, but it was a nice surprise. $500,000 check to renovate the temple kitchen. Not the Food for Life kitchen, the temple kitchen. Yes, government official. And so this takes cultivation. You're not going to get this, in a week's time. This is years of cultivation, making friends, doing community, and showing people that you're making valuable contributions to the community. We know internally. We know it's preaching. We know it's prasadam distribution. We know it's all spiritual. As far as they're concerned, you're doing good work for the community. It's okay. It doesn't matter. It's just packaging. It's marketing. But we know what the core value is. But yeah, so years of cultivation has resulted in many, many leaders coming forward and helping the organization. Win over the leaders. My idea is, this is in the Lilamrita actually, I want to draw the attention of the authorities. If they cooperate, then we can push on our movement more vigorously. We are doing it on a small scale. It is going on, but if we get the support of the authorities, we can push on in a larger scale. You see, there's many letters like this, many comments. Prabhupada keeps pushing it home. You've got to get the leaders involved. You've got to get them, the influential people, backing you, supporting you. And the only way to do that is to become relevant in their eyes. And this is why when we go back to the first verse, the first comment, remember I talked about the mission Prabhupada talks about the mission of Krishna consciousness? And the second sentence, he says, this activity, right, chanting and prasadam, can be accelerated with the help of state administrators and those who produce the country's wealth. There's a secret there. He's giving us a strategy. So how do we do that? We need to position ourselves as relevant in their eyes to get them involved. And so when you approach them and you say, look, I'm a member of the community, we want to do something in your community to help, the community, will you get behind us? 99% of the time they'll say, yes, I would like to do that, because it's good for them. It makes them look good, you see. It's like you're taking advantage of their mode of passion to raise their profile. Right? They want to look good in the public eye. So by associating with a community member or an organization that's doing good work in the public, it makes them look good. It's by association. So they're happy to write an endorsement letter or to put their hand up or say something nice or to help you with funding. It's very, very common. What's that?
The politicians in Korea, we get in contact with them, like what he's talking about.
Yeah.
They're very influential people, politicians.
I can tell you many stories. Like, I'll give you one short story. Back in 1992, a long time ago, as a brahmachari, had a local food flow program. It was 1991, and we actually hadn't started the program yet, right? So I was asked, okay, we need to start a food flow program. Can you start? I says, yeah, sure. I says, let me first build up some foundation here. So I took cutouts from ISKCON World Review, right, of Prasadam distribution around the world. I took newspaper cutouts from our program in Sydney. This project was based on a farming community like this, about 2 hours from Sydney, right? So I put together a little flipbook, photos, letters, and newspaper articles and so on. And I made appointments with the various leaders of the community, the mayor, the health minister, president of this organization, president of that organization. And within a period of 1 month, I got letters from all of these people, 2 mayors actually. I got 2 front-page newspaper articles, maybe it was 2 months, I'm probably exaggerating. 2 front-page newspaper articles, radio interviews, I was on television, and endorsement letters from all the leaders, and we hadn't distributed 1 plate of prasadam. We hadn't started yet. It was all based on reputation, what we'd done in the past around the world. Now, this was 20 years ago. And back then, Food for Life was distributing maybe 40,000 meals a week, maximum. Now we're doing millions of meals a day. How much more leverage do you have now to influence the leaders? You go to them and you say, how you doing, sir? I'm with an organization that has projects all around the world. We have programs in 50 countries. We're distributing about 2 million meals a day. That's about 25 meals a second, by the way. And it's all volunteer-based. And we would like to start a program in your city. Would you like to get involved? Would you like to help us? We've proven ourselves. We're actually doing more meals than the World Food Program. Did you know that? The World Food Program is massive, right? United Nations World Food Program. They do 90 million meals a year. That's great, right? That's very impressive. 90 million meals a year. Now, they also distribute large quantities of rice and grain and flour and so on around the world. But in terms of prepared meals, they do about 90 million meals a year. 90. Food for Life does that in 3 months. We do 3 to 4 times as much food distribution in the World Food Program. Now, are you proud of that or what? Isn't that amazing? What the devotees are doing around the world? So look how much leverage you have. You go to this politician, you say, I'm part of Food for Life Global. And so Mukunda Maharaj and I started Food for Life Global to help to bring all of these programs together under one umbrella, right? So that those little programs in Russia and Spain and whatever, they're all part of a big united family. But presenting it in a way which was not religious, which still has a spiritual aspect, and we don't hide that part. If you look on the Food for Life website, there's a lot of spiritual education. We don't hide the fact that it's prasadam, but we present it in a way which is very palatable. And you'll see if you get a chance to read the Food for Life website. So imagine how much leverage you have. I mean, seriously, you can get all of these big guys on board if you approach them confidently and tell them you're part of this larger organization and what you're doing. Encouraged to write letters. This is interesting. So Prabhupada said to Mukunda, I have always stressed that we must become recognized not by the mass but by the class. This class section of society should be encouraged to write letters of appreciation of my books and our activities, right? So that's one practical thing you can do just to start the relationship. You approach Mr. Who it is, or Mrs. whoever, and say, could you please write a letter of endorsement for our activity? We want to start something. Or, the program in Gainesville is the most amazing program in ISKCON. It's the longest going Prasadam program in ISKCON. We would like to get an endorsement letter. All of the people that they fed at Gainesville, why don't they have endorsement letters from them? Those people that have gone on to become famous or presidents of whatever company, they should get a letter from all of these people. Have a whole book full of letters. And leverage that. And start promoting, Mr. This and Mrs. That have said this. Would you also like to write a letter of endorsement? And you can use those materials then to get grants. One of the most powerful ways to get grants is to have letters of endorsement from influential people. When you put your grant application in, if you have letters of endorsement from influential people in the community, they're more likely to give you a yes than a no. So, this is one practical way you can engage these people in Krishna service, getting them to write a letter of endorsement. Very simple. In fact, I have one story where I went to, as part of that history I talked about before. So there was one politician called Mr. Fitzgibbon, and he was the health minister of the area, and I thought, I've got to get him to write a letter, right? So then I went to his office and I left prasadam. I left like a plate of cookies or something, and I put a note, Hare Krishna, enjoy the cookies. He was away from the office. I came back again and I left a cookbook. Hare Krishna, Priya, enjoy the cookbook. And then the third time I came back, he was there in the office, right? And then the secretary was there and she says, oh, he's here. I said, oh, great. So then she got on the line and she says, Mr. Turner is here. Would you like to see him? And he says, okay, I've got 5 minutes. I got 5 minutes, no problem. We can see him for 5 minutes. I said, great. So then I went inside and he says, Mr. Turner, he says, what can I do for you? First of all, thank you for the cookbook. My wife loves the cookbook. Now, please sit down, young man. What can I do for you? And he says, I've only got a few minutes. And I says, okay, well, what I'd like, sir, is we want to start a food flow program in your city. We'd love, since you're the health minister, we'd love to get your endorsement because we're trying to raise funds. We're applying for a grant from the government, and we want to get you to endorse it so we can be successful. And he says, no problem. You write the letter, I'll sign it. Right? Like just within a few minutes. And then he looked at me and he says, so you're Hare Krishna, right? Now, I wasn't dressed as a Hare Krishna. I had a seeker, but I was dressed in his regular clothes. I was just coming across as just a member of the public. He says, you're a Hare Krishna, right? I says, yeah. He says, the door's closed, it's just him and me. He says, tell me about Hare Krishna. What's all this all about? And then for the next hour, I preached to him. The next hour, brahmacharya life, deity worship, everything, across the board, right? For the next, the guy had 5 minutes. So now I've got into his comfort zone. I've given him prasadam, I've given him a cookbook. He sees I'm a regular guy and I'm easy to talk to. And he's like, okay, the door's closed. I don't really have any appointments. Let's talk. I want to know more. This is the opportunities you can get when you break through that little barrier. And the barrier is actually very thin. Prasadam very quickly opens up every door. That's powerful. And that's one of hundreds of stories like that, really. It's amazing. That approach works every time. Every time. So, demonstrate our compassion. This is an interesting one. And you can relate it to Food for Life from the Bhagavatam 4th Canto. Brahmanas, the topmost section of human society, are mostly devotees. They are generally unaware of the happenings within the material world because they are always busy in their activities for spiritual advancement. Nonetheless, when there is calamity in human society, they cannot remain impartial. If they do not do something to relieve the distressed condition of human society, it is said that due to such neglect, their spiritual knowledge diminishes. So we can't be impartial. When there's a big tsunami, we have to do something. And of course, the best thing to do is prasadam distribution. And the beautiful thing about prasadam is that however you perceive it, it doesn't matter. Whether you perceive it as mundane charity, it doesn't really matter. When we know we're giving them prasadam. And this is important because we have to exhibit our compassion. That's one of the qualities, one of the principal qualities of a devotee is their compassion, right? There are hundreds of stories of compassion in the Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya. We shouldn't lose sight of that important quality, compassion. And compassion doesn't mean that only preaching to the soul and neglecting the body completely. That's not compassion. That's not perfect compassion, because the fact is, even as devotees, we have a human body, and we also have to be compassionate for our own bodies and make sure our body's healthy and functioning properly. Be kind to it. It's a blessing to have a human body. We're in the minority. There are more other living beings living entities on this planet. The human population is very small, so it's such a blessing to have a human form, and so we need to be compassionate to our body. And similarly, compassion to other people's bodies. And I was thinking about this morning, and of course we've all heard the story of how, the drowning man and saving the shirt is useless. But the fact is, when we're in the human body, our consciousness is so absorbed in the human, we still think we're the body. Even as devotees, it takes a long time to sort of get detached from that. So we shouldn't be totally callous and impartial. We do have to do something and show our compassion to demonstrate our love for all living beings. Everywhere in the hospitals, this is actually 1966. This is in the early days of ISKCON. Prabhupada says charitable societies, industrial places, everywhere distribute this prasadam and chant this Hare Krishna. Just see, what is the result? You want peace? These are the processes of peace, chanting and prasad distribution everywhere. Prasadam budget. This is often overlooked, but this is in the first canto of the Bhagavatam. The attempt must go on to convert unwilling men to become his devotees. Lord Chaitanya has taught a very simple method in this connection. He has taught the lesson for preaching the transcendental message through singing, dancing, and refreshment, prasadam distribution. As such, 50% of our income may be spent for this purpose. There's your budget program right there, your budget philosophy. 50% should be spent on chanting and prasadam and dancing. It's a very controversial one, but there it is. It's right in the Bhagavatam. Yeah, so that's interesting, huh? Yeah. Right. Anyway, we could say that certainly a significant part of the budget must be dedicated to prasadam distribution. It's a very important program. Guru loves prasadam. We all know this one. We sing it every morning. When the Guru is fully satisfied that prasadam distribution is going on, he is very much pleased and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord by chanting and dancing. So when prasadam distribution is going on, then the Guru chants and dances. He doesn't do it otherwise. He does it only after prasadam's gone out. Books are not enough. Well, this is radical. Prabhupada wrote to Riddhananda Maharaj, "You have written that chanting, dancing, and book distribution are going on nicely. Prasadam distribution should also be introduced. This will make the program even more effective." Have you seen that one before? Right? Because he's reporting to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, we at the university, we're doing dancing and prasadam, we're doing book distribution and chanting. Are you happy with us? Yes, that's very nice, but if you want to be more effective, you have to distribute prasadam. And I think it's right after this. When did the Gainesville program start? 71? So this was 76. So maybe, I don't know what college he was talking about, but he was in South America in 76? Yeah? Okay. Well, that's an interesting comment. So obviously Prabhupada wanted to drive home that, okay, book distribution and chanting, that's nice, but you have to do prasadam as well to be more effective. Medicine and the diet, you all know this one. Reading of the literature and hearing the chanting is the medicine, and prasadam is the diet. So if diet and medicine are properly administered, the disease of Maya will be cured. Is public opinion important? Yes, it is. I'm very glad to hear that Mr. Jalan has given 10,000 rupees. As our work progresses, especially the building itself, the school and the prasadam distribution programs, these will put us very much favorably in the public eye. And many, many big men in Calcutta can give tremendous sums of such good public welfare work, to such good public welfare work. There you go. So Prabhupada knew the power of prasadam distribution to make people more supportive of ISKCON. And in fact, he's clearly pointing out here that the big rich men will get behind this and they'll give you lots of money. Street collections. Somehow or other, we should not become unpopular in the public eye. These dishonest methods must be stopped. It is hampering our reputation all over the world. Right? 1975. So that's one of the, the dark side of Food for Life, how it's been exploited by devotees over the years, and it's actually hurt our reputation because people have come to the point of not trusting devotees because of this. In fact, you may not even be aware, but I often get calls and emails from people all over the world. People visit the Food for Life Global website, and I'll get an email or a voicemail or a phone, and they'll say, "Oh, someone in France or someone in this country or that place just approached me for a donation. Are they bona fide? Are they with your organization?" And I'm supposed to know. Right? And I tell them, look, Food for Life Global does not endorse any street collection. So if someone's collecting funds, it's not Food for Life Global. So, we don't have any street collectors. And it puts me in an awkward position. I mean, literally hundreds of times, emails or phone calls from people around the world. And I have to take the hit. Yeah. Well, they don't. The thing is, they don't. No one actually does give any money. Yeah. Well, if they did. No, it's true. No, you're right. You're right. There are people that are trying to do the right thing, but for Food for Life Global, no one's actually given Food for Life Global money. I've actually endorsed a few street collectors over the years, and I've never seen a penny. And so I just gave it up. I don't do it anymore. I gave them a letter, like a contract. You are contracted to represent Food for Life Global. I gave them materials, and then I never heard from them again. I usually arranged that they would have to give 70%, and then they could keep 30%, which is a very reasonable amount, very typical amount for a fundraiser, to keep 30% in. Is it? Wow, that's high. Yeah. Well, what I do know is that if you're collecting for a charity, 100% should go to the charity, and then the charity pays you a wage. The problem in ISKCON is that the street collectors just put the money in their pocket, and then they throw a few dollars at the temple, and they say, I collected 100, here's 20, or whatever. And so there's no real, whatever. It's not. There's no way to police that, to monitor that. Whereas really, technically speaking, if they're representing a charity, 100% should go to the charity, and then the charity pays them a wage. That's the proper way to do it. But it doesn't happen in ISKCON. And so because of that and other things, I don't endorse it anymore. Because you just... Okay. The beginning of ISKCON. This is a good one. This is in 1977. Prabhupada's reminiscing about the old days, right? 1977 in Vrindavan. What was it? I don't have the month, but anyway. He's very frail. I made this movement successful simply by love feast. They did not come to hear Hare Krishna. They came for love feast. From the very beginning, when I was in 26 2nd Avenue, every Sunday I was giving nice foodstuffs, at least 200 men. I was cooking myself. That is the beginning of our movement. That's the beginning of the movement right there, is the prasadam, love feast. So that's the roots. And getting back to, when I talk about the Vedic culture of hospitality, the whole concept of this hospitality culture it's based on the principle of Atiti Narayan. The uninvited or unscheduled guest should be treated like God, right? So, and the idea behind that is that because we see everyone as spiritually equal, samadarshana. So if we really did see the spiritual equality of all beings, the natural expression of that is to share food. Oh, my brother, oh, my sister, you must be hungry. You see them as a family member, you see? So that's really like the foundation of what this Krishna consciousness movement is all about. We're all brothers and sisters, spiritual equals, and we're all got to try and help each other to go back to Godhead. But first we have to come to the point of spiritual equality. Sadhusanga, everyone in the human form of life should be induced to associate with devotees by rendering a little service, even by eating prasadam. What to speak of chanting and dancing, everyone can be promoted to Vaikuntha Loka. Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur on charity. Those who think that devotion to God and kindness to the jivas are mutually different to each other, from each other, and perform accordingly in their life, such persons will not be able to follow the devotional culture. Their performance is only a semblance of devotion. Therefore, all types of benefits to others, like kindness, friendliness, forgiveness, charity, respect, etc., are included in bhakti. Charity of medicines, clothes, food, water, etc., shelter during adversities, teaching, academics, and spiritual education, etc., are the activities included in the devotional culture. Right? Grihasta's duty. He, the Grihasta, should provide the necessities of life even to the dogs and the lowest creatures. Whatever a Grihasta may possess, he should equally distribute to all living entities without discrimination. The best process is to distribute prasadam. Now, this is a book I wrote. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I wrote a book a couple of years ago. I released it. I've updated it. It's called Food Yoga, Nourishing Body, Mind and Soul. And to me, it's like Food for Life 2.0. And this is based on what Prabhupada said. Prabhupada said, remember I quoted before, he said that everyone should get a chance to take prasadam. And this activity should be extended universally. So think about that for a minute. How is it possible that we, a small community of devotees, can reach everyone? Right? It's not possible. Even the whole of ISKCON, we can't possibly give prasadam to everyone on the planet. It's logistically impossible. But what we can do is we can educate them. We can empower people to make their own prasadam. We can teach them about prasadam. Give them this knowledge of bhakti and encourage them and guide them. And this is what this book's all about. I'm trying to demystify the prasadam culture and teach people how to offer food, how to make food part of their spiritual evolution. Because spiritual life begins at the tongue. No, I don't have any books, but you can order online an ebook. You can get a digital book is $10, so it's a bargain. The printed books is $22. And what I've done is I've tried to, first of all, in order to bring people to the point of offering their food, you've got to prepare them, right? You can't just say, hey, offer your food because you get rid of karma and it's a good way to go back to Godhead. They're not going to buy that, right? So the first part of the book, I actually present the science of prasadam. And I talk about prasadam. First to talk about that we're energetic beings, that everything is energy, food is energy, intention, mind, thoughts are also energy. I get into the science part of it, and I explain to them how based on science, your thoughts actually do have a physical effect. They affect your body, they affect the world around you. So I present different arguments and build up a foundation whereby they're ready to accept this idea of offering their food. And then I present what's called the offering meditation. It's not Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale, right? I can give you the meditation. It goes like this. I am spirit. I've come into this world empty-handed. I've come into this world with no possessions. I will leave this world with no possessions. Everything that has come to me has been a blessing of the Supreme. I'm not the ultimate controller or owner of anything in this world. Since food is the most basic necessity of life, I therefore offer this food back to the energetic source from which it came in order to purify it. In doing so, I honor the Supreme Controller, the Supreme Enjoyer, and the Divine Feminine. And I humbly ask, you please taste this food first. So that's the offering meditation. And then I explain what that means, obviously, in the book. But in this way, I'm trying to encourage people in a way which they can embrace this culture of prasadam offering food to Krishna or to their God, in a way which is very comfortable, very natural. And that's my humble attempt to serve Prabhupada's mission, that everyone get a chance to take prasadam. And this is the websites. It's ffl.org is the main website for Food for Life. Foodyoga.org is my food yoga promotion. I do workshops on food yoga around the world. Skype, FFL Global. The Facebook is Food for Life Global or Food Yogi. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Question.
Yes.
You organize seminars either personally or online via Skype or some other media to train and educate temples on how to promote and expand Food for Life.
I haven't done any online seminars, but it's probably a good idea. I've just done personal, like in-person seminars in different parts of the world. But yeah, I should do that. It would be
I
good.
thought like there are companies, like in my business I work with certain companies that help me promote my business. So you would help them promote their business.
Right.
You could charge a fee to
Right.
participate on the seminar. You pay $50, whatever.
Right.
Because they need, often people have goodwill, but they don't have the skills, they don't have the materials. And you, based on your experience, looks like you have a lot of this that you can share.
Yeah, sure. I've probably seen more prasadam distribution in ISKCON than anyone, because I've been to so many temples. More temples than I think a lot of sannyasis. 65 temples, I think. 65 countries. So what I do is I share what's going on over here, and so give the devotees guidance. This is what they did, it's successful, you can do it too. So yeah, I should do that, the online seminars. Thank you.
I'm interested in the economics of this. I mean, you're giving all this away. You're not charging for any of it. Is that what you said?
Yeah, the ideal or traditional Food for Life is free prasadam. Now, obviously, depending on the time, place, and circumstance, you may have to charge a small amount. Like in Australia, they developed this model of what's called a budget cafe, where you pay a small amount, like $5 or something, but you can eat as much as you want. So it's part of the Food for Life family in that sense, because really they're just covering their costs. It's not a business. They're not making money from it. But yeah, traditionally, essentially, Food for Life means free prasadam distribution for everyone.
You're talking about millions of
Yeah.
plates. So I mean,
Well, how do you do this? So the biggest distributors in the world are the programs in India, the Anamrita program. And they're all sponsored by corporations and government grants. But it's all free. Every day, up to 2 million, 1.5
so
to 2
can they
million.
display their sponsorship logos or something?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, of course. As long as the logo, the company doesn't represent anything against our principles, what's the problem? If it's like an electrical company or IT company, like I think one of the big sponsors is, what's a big IT company in India? Oh, there's Tata is one of them. They're one of the sponsors. So what's the problem? It's a mutually beneficial to them. They get a bit of advertisement. By association, their company looks good. It's good for their brand. And we get the benefit of distributing prasadam to millions of people. So yeah, sponsorship's a very practical way to fund your program. I feel it's better than donations because it's really solid and you can get like really, really consistent support. It's much easier than grants, that's for sure.
I've got lots of other questions, but
Yeah.
because I do the program at Santa Fe
Okay.
College here, and I mean, I've got questions like, you know, the sourcing, the organic.
You have a registered charity? Is it a registered charity or just a temple program?
It's a temple program.
Okay, but the temple's a registered charity or religion?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like non-profit status?
Yeah. Yeah, like,
Okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's fine. So the thing is, then you have an opportunity, obviously, for donations of food. You approach the market, but it's all about marketing yourself properly, presenting yourself, going to these corporations, going to these the vendors that can provide you fruits and vegetables or other products. Going as a business person, saying, "Look, this is what we're doing. We'd like to get you involved. We'd like to give you the opportunity, you know, to help us. This is actually beneficial for them more than it is for us. We have to present it like that. This is a great opportunity for exposure, for raising the quality of your brand. Most of them will jump on. If you just say, look, all we need is 50 kilos of rice a week and, you know, whatever, so much oil a week. And in exchange for that, we're going to put your logo right on the van. We're going to put your logo on our newsletter, on our website. Most of them will jump for it. Because the benefit of sponsorship is that it's marketing. Its advertising budget means it's 100% write-off. It's not like a donation. They literally put it in the advertising column and it's 100% write-off. You see? So it's really good for them. Anything else? So you want to approach companies that there's an obvious relevance. You know, yeah, well, I'm a Krishnadarian. So 15 years ago, I decided, because I was going to all these international conferences around the world on behalf of Food for Life, and I was giving presentations at vegetarian conferences, animal rights conferences, and I'd always get approached by people saying, is Food for Life distributing, you know, dairy foods? And why are you doing that? And, you know, it was very awkward. And I realized that commercial dairy, really, in its present form, is not sattvic. It's not pure anymore. And if you research this, you'll see it's really not sattvic. It's contaminated from the beginning to the end. What to speak of the fact that the cows are raped, and it's a horrible industry. And it's very much connected to the meat industry. All the dairy cows, after 3 years of exhaustive milking, they're killed. Their babies are taken away the first day they're born. And it's just horrible, 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 right? So apart from that, the milk itself is contaminated. It's not a pure form of food anymore. And so in my opinion, it's not sattvic. And what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? He wants sattvic foods to be offered, right? That's specifically he says, you know, I want sattvic foods. So I made a decision 15 years ago to be what's called a Krishnadarian. I coined the phrase, so to position myself positive in the eyes of the devotees and also positive in the eyes of the vegans, the non-devotees. That, okay, I'm not going to have commercial dairy, but I will take milk if it's offered lovingly from a protected cow. What's the problem? You know, the cow's not going to be killed. It's respected. That's fine. So I took that position, and once I took that position and made that position for Food for Life Global, I never got any criticism. It's always been very positive. No one really has a problem with us. And so we, obviously, Food for Life Global is representing programs around the world that also do distribute dairy, but we have a policy instituted that we only give funds, because we're collecting donations, right? And we'll give small grants, we'll sponsor emergency relief when they happen, and we'll only sponsor vegan food relief. So no money will be spent on commercial dairy. And that is enough to satisfy the donors. They don't have a problem with that. So I would recommend, you know, based on where people are at these days, how much more aware people are of what's going on in these industries, it's really beneficial to seriously consider removing commercial dairy from it for
Well, it brings up the point about if the demand is big enough to have our own sources. I mean, our own dairy herds now.
No, we should. Obviously, you should. So that's why I'm specifically saying commercial dairy. So I'm not saying dairy because I like milk too. I'm not against dairy if it's pure. But if you want to get the general support, like the real wide-scale support, it's political. It's just a better way to go. And it's not against the principles, because if you understand that commercial dairy is not really that pure, then why do you want to offer something that's not pure? You know? If it's pure, fine. Milk is good for you.
Right, but it's central to our cuisine. I mean, the whole. So.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the challenges. But the thing is our cuisine Indian? You know, Krishna's not Indian. Prabhupada specifically said you can cook according to local taste, right? He gave permission to the Italian devotees to make pasta. Why did he do that?
That was our most successful day this week, was pasta, actually.
Right.
So,
well, there you go.
I have people that like it and people that also don't like it, that prefer our normal.
Well, no, what I'm saying is we can cook according to local taste. The point is, Krishna consciousness is not Indian. Krishna consciousness is a spiritual movement. Krishna is not Indian. Yes, it's coming from Indian culture, therefore Indian cuisine is a big influence, but it's not exclusively tied to that. We can, any type of food, Prabhupada specifically said, you know, that you can prepare meals and make your own things, your own creations, as long as they're in the mode of goodness, he said. And then he gave a list of ingredients, including milk, but as I was saying, nowadays, milk, it's not as pure as what it was in Prabhupada's time. So you have to think about that.
Well, we do get we have a organic milk that we get here.
Okay, that's better.
From a herd that's run by Seventh-day Adventists. So, I mean, ultimately animals will get slaughtered, but at least it's better than the commercial. You know,
yeah.
It's a compromise. But
it's definitely better, but it's not perfect. And the thing is, you're always going to get criticism because of that. That's just the fact.
Krishna lunch, they've been going on for 40-some years, and they have a vegan
option.
There's so many students that are vegan, which is good also.
Yeah.
So they have a vegan choice every day.
Right.
Therefore, there's no problem there.
Yeah, so you can do that as long as you have that option. Because another thing too is that a large percentage of the population is lactose intolerant. Even a lot of devotees now, they don't even realize it. That's why a lot of devotees, they get gas, they get stomach cramps, because they're actually lactose intolerant. But they won't admit it because they like the taste of dairy, and where, you know, it's drilled into us that we've got to have dairy to nourish our brains to understand Krishna. But I think that those comments are related to the pure form of dairy, when it's given lovingly from a mother cow, and then there's another quality there in the milk, which actually, you know, creates that effect on the brain and so on. But commercial dairy, I don't think. Yes?
I think my understanding is, sorry for repeating, but are you saying that the Food for Life program is to not use any dairy products from commercial dairies?
Well, we encourage that, but our policy is that Food for Life Global only financially supports programs that don't use commercial dairy. But we support them in other ways, education, training, but we encourage, that you should look for pure sources of dairy, right?
I'm just trying to understand, Food for Life Global only supports your
because
franchises that are doing that policy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's financial support. In other words, our donors, a lot of the donors are vegans, and they're giving money specifically for vegan food distribution. So we made a policy, that the money's only going to be used for that. And by doing that, we've never had a problem, and we continue to support all programs that are involved in prasadam distribution. We give them training, guidance, promotional materials, so many things. We help in other ways. But just the money itself, we have to be responsible for the donors' money, and that's what they ask for, so that's what we do.
Just a comment on the Indian cooking that you were talking about. I think the idea behind it is Ayurvedic cooking. So it's cooking that's connected to Ayurveda, which is connected to Vedic culture and connected to Krishna, ultimately. And then I had another question. how do organizations that, you know, have street collectors, how do they do it? How do they make it work?
Oh, you mean like outside of ISKCON? Outside of ISKCON, yeah. Well, the first part of the question is regarding Ayurveda. Yeah, you can tie, obviously Ayurveda is part of the culture, but how many devotees understand Ayurvedic cooking? How many of them actually incorporate the principles of Ayurveda when they're preparing a meal for Krishna? Like, how many people are in this room here? It's like 20 people. All of us have a different constitution. So if you're the cook, if I'm cooking for you, how am I going to prepare a meal that's good for each one of you, right? The only way to do that is by understanding your constitution and then preparing something slightly different for you, a little bit less spice for you, a little bit more water for you, like that. So it's not as easy to incorporate Ayurvedic principles into community cooking. That's one. The second thing regarding collections, the way it works with most organizations is that they have a contract in place. Okay, you can collect for us, but at the end of the day, you give us all of your collections, and then we pay you a wage which is contracted, you know, whether it's 20%, 30%, or whatever, a daily wage we pay you. That's how it should work. But my experience is that rarely happens in ISKCON. Usually the collectors will collect the money, and then they will give whatever they decide to the temple. And that's not the way it should work.
How do the other organizations,
Well, they'll have like a closed container. So the container can't be opened except for at the office at the temple. And so the money will go into the box, it's locked, and then they bring the box back, the whole amount, the office unlocks it, and if it's $500, and then they'll say, okay, here's $50, you know, whatever, for your day's work. That's the proper way to do it. And that's what the public expects, actually. When they're giving money, they're not thinking they're giving money to the guy collecting. They're thinking they're giving money to feed the kids or whatever. So they expect that money to go back to the organization. But that rarely happens in ISKCON. It's happening, but most of the time it doesn't happen that way. And that's really a problem. I can hear you. Oh, yeah.
why don't they set up the system where they use that kind of the box?
Yeah, it's like, well, it's because it's probably due to the fact that they're used to the way they've been doing it for so long. Devotees are lazy to rules and regulations, external rules and regulations. So they like to always feel like they're above the rules, above the law, transcendental. So it's part of our culture, and it's a real problem, actually. Devotees feel like they're above, they're not part of this world, but actually we have to function in this world. We have to follow the rules and be ladies and gentlemen and be responsible citizens. That's an important part of the devotional culture. And there are examples like that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where the king was there was a story one of the stories in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where Prabhupada talks about taxes and how the citizens have to pay taxes and so on, right? Their responsibility. So, yeah, we have to change that part of our culture.
There is still some hippie influence in our movement.
Mm-hmm.
That you just do whatever you want, it's complete freedom.
Yeah.
It's not as prominent as probably in the beginning of the movement.
Right.
But it's still there.
It's
like
still there.
an irresponsible approach to life, that I would call.
That's true, and that's why you have so many devotees on welfare, so many devotees that, like, they dedicated their lives. I mean, my generation in the 80s, I was distributing books, I was selling perfumes, I was selling paintings, I was doing all that stuff. We collected I personally probably collected $1 million for ISKCON and gave all of it to the temple. And so then, you know, the tendency to think is, I should take something now, I've been giving. And so you get into this mentality of expecting from people to give you, like the government to give you money because all of the hard work you've done in the past.
The end justifies the means.
Something like that. But then also the other problem is that the devotees are trained in certain skills, but that are not necessarily transferable once they have to move to the material world. You know, when they get out of being a brahmachari, some of those skills are not always transferable, or they need guidance in helping them to transfer those skills. Like if you're a Sankirtan devotee, you have excellent salesman skills, right? So it's a matter of like guiding those devotees to use those same skills, but in a mundane way. But of course, the end result is you can take that money and you can use it in Krishna's service. So there needs to be some sort of guidance in that, and for the most part, that's not there. And then you have devotees feeling like they have to just go and work for it. They don't know what to do. They feel incompetent or not connected in some way. All right, so I think we should finish there. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it. Hare Krishna.